Hello.
Hello.
Hello. How are we?
Very good, thank you. Yeah, how are you both?
Good. We're all talking over each other. I'm a bit excited.
Should we start again?
No. Let's go. That's good.
Andy can do the editing bit after. That's his job.
Yeah.
What's new to begin with? What's new?
What's new?
Clearly nothing new.
Yeah.
Cool. So that's good. Nothing's new. In which case, we might as well get on our guest then, might we?
Yes. Yeah. Let's talk about who's our guest tonight.
Well, it is the esteemed illustrator come designer, Craig, that's been knocking out some amazing stuff for us, hasn't he?
Yeah. When did he first do a sketch of your car, Joe? That was almost like when we started.
Almost coincides with our launch. So it must have been literally almost first week of lockdown, I think, thereabouts.
Yeah.
Of the first lockdown.
April?
Yeah, something like that.
Yeah.
Yeah, so it's Craig Justice. On Instagram, he is at Justice Sketch. If you're able to check out his page while maybe having a listen to this pod, definitely do. His stuff is absolutely amazing. He drew our three cars, didn't he, as we said early on. Had this kind of caricatural vibe about them, wasn't it? He's obviously a very talented bloke, and he's been able to diversify his artwork since. Some of it's absolutely amazing. It's going to culminate in a little calendar, isn't it, for Patreon members, which we'll talk about later.
Indeed, yeah. Yep, 12 individual sketches, each crafted by the man himself.
Yeah.
They're pretty epic. We'll post some of those up this week, but we're going to do a nice little desk calendar with those just for Patreon members.
Yes, yeah, awesome, absolutely awesome. So he's a hugely talented guy. He's kind of been on the scene, if you like, for around about the same time as we have here on Road to Redline. He's been a staunch supporter of us. So it's an absolute pleasure to pay a little bit of that back to him, isn't it? So,
and to hear his story. Yeah.
Yes, let's get him on then, shall we?
Let's do it.
Good evening, Craig. How you doing?
I'm all right, thanks, guys. Good to see you or listen to you.
So we've seen lots of you on Road to Redline, but never actually spoken to you on Road to Redline, have we?
Yeah, it seems so. Yeah, we sort of touched base pretty near the start of your journey, my sense of my drawings in of your beautiful cars.
Yeah,
wow,
I don't know how Joe and Andy feel, but this is like meeting one of your heroes, isn't it? Like,
I think so.
Well, I could say the same. I'm in a celebrity environment here, so
egos all over the place. Excellent. Well, I mean, Craig, there's lots to dive into in terms of your story, but I think the main question is, first of all, do we call you Craig or CJ? Like, where are we at with that?
I think Craig's better. If I think of CJ, I always think of Pamela Anderson.
It reminds me of a strip bar in Dallas that I went to. Her name was TJ, but she was good. Yeah, CJ. There's too many near things there.
Yeah, we'll stick with Craig. That'd be cool.
Excellent. Well, I mean, if listeners aren't aware, as Craig said, it kind of started early doors on Road to Redline, and we got a few pictures delivered via our kind of direct messages on Instagram, I think it was.
Yeah.
And I think wasn't it Joe's 912 kind of
first,
popped up
I think,
first, and we just got this message saying, Here's Joe's 912. What do you think? And we were like, oh, it's amazing. And then another one popped through. Here's Andy's 993. And I mean, talking candidly here, I remember thinking they are absolutely awesome. What's he got against 996s? Yeah. And then, Craig, you were very kind, to come along and say, look, been sitting on this, here it is. And I was so blown away by it, as you know.
It was a good little adventure. Obviously, when I first sent in Joe's sketch, I didn't know if I'd get a reply. I'd sent a few things out. It's often a case with my work in the past, which you throw enough rubbish at the wall, or as it were, and see what sticks, sort of thing.
Yeah. I've heard my car called far less worse things than rubbish, but I'll take that.
And obviously, lucky enough to Joe get back in touch with me, which was a really good surprise. So I thought, hang on, there's three guys here. I better sort of line up, because I was feeling a bit bad. I'd left Andy out and yourself, Lee.
So were they pity draws? Is that what they were?
I wouldn't say that. I was doing more of a historical adventure, so going through the time.
Oh, is that how it started?
No, I'd be lying if I said that. But
yeah.
Let's go with that.
How did it start? Go on, tell us how it did start. What did your... I don't think we were the first people that you did, were you?
Well, it sort of started this year, sort of due to lockdown. Obviously, I've got a full-time job apart from all this sketching. And so I was on a bit less hours. We were on 80% hours, so I had a bit more time in the day.
Yeah.
And so I was listening to some more podcasts, primarily through pushchair walking my young daughter. So I thought, well, hang on, this is quite interesting, getting quite a good gen of what a podcast is, learning a lot of information. I was listening to various people. And in the meantime, I sort of thought, I've got a bit more time on my hands. I'd like to sort of get back to my sketching roots because my full-time work, a lot of it's done on a computer.
Yeah.
And I was missing that sort of art factor where you just go crazy for a bit with your hands rather than a mouse. So I thought, hang on, there's a lot of people doing competitions here during lockdown. Sort of keep your mind occupied, sort of a mental thing. So I thought, I'll have a go at some of these competitions. And they were sort of based on Instagram. So I thought, I've got an Instagram account. I've done about 20 posts or something.
Yeah.
10 followers, and you have to make it live and post it on your Instagram. So I did that and got a little bit of feedback and thought, hang on, Instagram's quite an interesting tool. I'm getting a bit of feedback here.
Yeah.
Particularly, I think during lockdown as well, you feel a little bit isolated, not seeing your work colleagues and such. I was getting some feedback and some comments. And I thought, I'm just going to do some more drawing, maybe not for a competition as such. So what's one of my passions here? I'm a bit of a petrol head. I like drawing curves and I love Porsches. So let's just combine a few and throw a few Porsche drawings down and see what happens. And it just sort of went from there, really. Just trying to keep. Obviously, I had my pushchair sleep window, which was about 30 minutes to 40 minutes. So I had a sort of limitation, which was really refreshing because it makes you quite fluid and loose and not too worried about the results.
Yeah, it's working to a different sort of deadline, that, isn't it?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, my full-time job, it's, timelines of production could be anything up to, say, 2 years, or, you're working to minute amounts like 0.1 of a millimeter changes in drawings and such. So to be able to do art drawings was really refreshing, and I was loving it, and that was the main thing. I was having fun. So
yeah.
Give us a little rundown on how you do one, because it's obviously they come out as a digital finish, don't they? But am I right? They start life as a physical hand drawn, or are you straight drawing into digital?
Well, as sort of any drawings, I sort of try and get inspired and get a sort of brief in my head, basically, to start with. So it's either a photo I see, or someone I admire, or a product I admire. So I try and use that. And obviously, you've got Pinterest and Instagram, get some really cool images there. So you get a little basis and a little portfolio of what you want to do. And then you just sort of hand sketch to start with. So
you don't sketch over the top of a photo as such, do you? Because I remember when we all saw our original pictures that you did of our 3 cars, we were like, well, we haven't got a photo at that angle, so he's done this all by sort of eye or rather than
off the cuff.
Yeah, I pretty much do it off the cuff. Sometimes I base it on photos and use a little bit of underlay as a guide, but quite often I just go for it and try and get the shapes together. Either using an ink pen or a Bic pen is a very popular favourite with car designers. Yeah, or just pencil. Once I'm happy with the sketch, I sort of scan it in to my computer and just add some colour and highlights on the background. And there you go. Pretty easy.
He says.
Yeah, pretty amazing results for something that's so easy. Mine would look like a 5-year-old's picture of a Porsche, I think.
I think over time I've sort of fallen in love with Porsche a bit more, because I think drawing something, you really sort of analyse the curves and the highlights, and you get a real feel for everything. And also I've done a bit of exploration into maybe Porsches I wasn't that informed on. And so it's been a real education process as well as a bit of fun.
Wow. Do you feel like you can feel some of the designers' original kind of ideas when you start redrawing these things? Because they probably, they would have all started life as a drawing at one point, wouldn't they?
I think so, definitely. Particularly on sort of a side view or a front view, you've obviously got specific analysis of design, so balance and proportion, and you can sort of break down and segment a design and work out how the balance feels. But I think, well, obviously Porsche 911 is such an icon and such a unique shape and such a classic shape. It's whoever penned it first. I mean, obviously it's evolved through the years. Was a real good foresight.
Well, here's a question for you then, Craig. So the current designer or head of design at Porsche and responsible for the 911 is Michael Mauer. And he is of the belief that he has one of the most difficult jobs in the automotive industry in redesigning the 911, if you like, for each new generation, because it essentially has to change slightly, but overall kind of stay the same. Do you agree with that? Do you think that's a hard job, or do you think that's an easier job than starting again from a blank bit of paper?
I thought you were going to task him to do the 994 then.
Well, hats off to anyone who has the challenge of redesigning the 911. Obviously, it's such an icon, but you obviously need to bear in mind it needs to appeal to a newer audience as it comes along. So you need to have your eyes on the future and the past, I think, more than any other brand, perhaps. So it's obviously finding those key focal points of the design and keeping them intact whilst maintaining your eye on the future. Obviously, we all know about the upcoming future. We're a bit worried about petrol use and such, but I think they've proved that with the Taycan that they can keep the Porsche identity with the new format. It's also interesting seeing how they transpose and get the language of Porsche across all their model ranges as well. I think still the 911 is the hero, but it's got those. I think it's a real challenge for someone to do that, but I think it's a milestone in their work if they can get that product online, definitely.
Without doubt, yes. I mean, I think there's a lot riding on it, isn't there? Like, it's my personal take on it. Even like, the 911's design permeates into other model lines now, doesn't it? The overall kind of shape, by and large, with the Cayman is evident. But if you look at kind of the rear quarter window or rear side window of the Panamera, that window shape has got that very kind of 911-esque. Even like the rear haunches. Yeah, that's it. There are elements of the 911 that really do kind of permeate through everything else in the brand. It's the baby of it, isn't it? And I have to say, I don't think I'd quite fancy the task of kind of designing the model that sits at the top of the tree. Although, to be fair with Porsche, what's the saying? It's form equals function, or I might have butchered that completely. But do you know what I mean? And design is a, I can't remember the words, but do you know what I mean? It's a result of necessity or something. I've completely butchered.
Well,
you know what I mean?
I've heard some people say art is, it has no purpose than what it is. Art, you look at it, but obviously a product has to have form and function in a balance. It depends how much balance you put on the form and how much you put on the function.
Yeah.
I think Porsche have to be really careful with that balance, because some people see their cars as art. I sort of agree with that. Having drawn quite a few of them now, it's such a lovely thing to draw. You have the classic Coke bottle analogy of a lady's form. It's getting all those human characteristics that we're so sort of ingrained in us. We don't really become aware of it, but we're all ingrained in human proportions and form. And that's sort of what we like or are attracted to.
Yeah,
it's getting those into the vehicle.
I've just found the quote that I've absolutely butchered, but it's from Bootsy Porsche, who designed the 911. And it's design is not simply art, it is elegance of function, which, brilliantly said. It has to be said. But I think with everything that Porsche has done, particularly with its 911 since, I think that is kind of
quite fitting,
resonates the most, isn't it? Yeah, without a doubt.
Yeah,
makes sense.
Yeah.
I mean, one of the main things when I started, when I was teeny tiny, was becoming aware of the Porsche logo. I do quite a bit of graphics as well as sort of product design. That Porsche logo was something I used to scribble as a kid at school. That stretch format logo. It's such a classic, and it hasn't changed like a lot of the other brands. They change and evolve. And
that's true.
Move them with the times, and it's such a strong identity that I love it to this day. You slap that on something, and it makes it instantly cool, in my opinion. It's quite a shallow way of looking at things, but
yeah.
Well, Lee keeps slapping on himself, and apparently that makes him cool. I'm not sure.
I have to say, when you touch on that, Craig, there's some fantastic archive pictures from motor shows of bygone era, 60s. When the 911 came out, and that Porsche script was above the Porsche stand. And if you look at it from the point of view of being there at the time, that must have looked so futuristic. Yeah. And yet now it's got a really nice kind of retro but elegant feel to it. It is relevant today, but it definitely plays into the company's past, doesn't it?
It does, doesn't it?
That's right. Yeah, not many brands can stand the test of time like that. You've got it's a real icon of design, definitely.
Craig, I've seen your sketch style has kind of evolved over the last, I guess is it probably 6 months ago that you first started doing these, and the sketch style seems to have, I don't know if it's matured or changed slightly. Do you see that?
Yeah, a little bit. I mean, because it's such a free and easy way of doing things. I'm not confined to anyone really, apart from my own ideas. I'm just trying to explore new ways of doing things, and being on Instagram maybe a little bit more than I should. I'm getting more inspired by various other artists and other ways of doing things. Recently I've been doing some non-sketch artworks, which are purely just like maybe one or two colours, and I've been quite enjoying doing that as well.
Okay, so it's just different styles. Because I remember the first ones you did of like our cars, they were quite, how can I put it? I wouldn't say cartoony, but maybe a little cartoony, more sort of Bart Simpson look about them. Does that sound?
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And the ones that you've been doing lately have been more sort of, I don't know, more sketchy, like more.
Yeah, that's right. I mean,
when
I started off, I was quite inspired by, you're probably all aware of Deus Ex Machina.
Yes, yeah.
Their artwork, they're quite famous at doing these very simple line drawings and filling in the colours and such. So I was inspired by that. So I thought, I'll have a go at doing something like that. So purely doing the pen work and then filling in the colours in the middle. But I've always learned through my career that you don't see things with black outlines. Everything has its own shape and it's identified by light hitting it. So I was trying to balance that style with maybe a bit more technical aspect, which is what I do in my main day job of designing eyewear and other products. So I'm just trying to blend everything together and trying to be true to my own identity as well, not really copy anyone else and just find my own style.
Yeah, cool, nice.
What about a bit of car history though? Because I think because you said you've dabbled with Porsche in the past, and how did that come about? Was that wasn't 911 though, was it? I think you're in the Cayman camp. Is that right?
It wasn't a 911. No, I ummed and ahed ages about it. I had a friend who had a first gen 996 911, and he was raving about it and everything. But I thought maybe I've got my budget and maybe I want something a bit newer. I've read a lot of reports on the Cayman being, a really good car to drive and such. I've grown up with a lot of Clio 182s and stuff. And I really loved handling. I wasn't after major power there. And another main aspect was being able to get a bike in there as well. I'm quite a big cyclist. So the Cayman it was, I thought, you know, I can get a bike in there, put the wheels in the front. So I searched long and hard for one. I found one through Nick Whale. He's currently the MD at Silverstone Auctions. But this was back in the day when he was running his own little business, Nick Whale Automotive. So I went down to his house, which was not too far from where my family lives in the Midlands. And there it was, and I just had to have it ready. I was coming out of an Audi TTS. And, yeah, the first test drive in that was like totally different. It was like going from a mountain bike to a high-end carbon road bike. You know, you could feel everything. And it was quite an amazing experience, you know, to feel it through your fingertips and such. You know, it was really cool. So, I had that for about 3 or 4 years maybe before I moved into the more family business with my beautiful wife and started making a family, and thus the funds moved on to house improvements and stuff.
Okay, yeah. And what was it, Craig? Was it 987 Gen 1 or Gen 2? Or?
Yeah, it was a 07 Gen 1 Cayman S.
Yeah.
Meteor grey, had like the beige full leather interior, but it had the sport chrono and sports exhaust and such. So yeah.
Oh, great spec. Manual or tip?
Manual.
Yeah, quality. Yeah, it's a lovely spec. Yeah, Meteor grey. What a beautiful colour that is. Absolutely beautiful colour.
No, I do miss it, and hopefully one day, pretty soon, I'll get back into the brand. You know, obviously having a Cayman, you know, it's a cool car, beautiful car, but you know, still in the back of your mind, you've got that little guy on the shoulder going, you know, it's not a 911. So
it's funny, isn't it? That thing. I think we've mentioned on the podcast before. We've joked about my opinions of Caymans, but they are awesome cars. But I find when I chat to people that have a Boxster or a Cayman, they always kind of, once they say what they have, they then qualify why they don't have a 911, and I don't think that's necessary.
Yeah, people always feel like they got to justify it, don't they?
Yeah, it shouldn't be the case at all. You know, it's different horses for courses. Ultimately, you choose the car that best fits your lifestyle. That's as far as it goes, isn't it? You know, so.
I mean, yeah, that's right. I mean, it's sort of getting worse and worse with the modern technology. You know, everyone's being thrown things at them all the time. You know, it's quite a materialistic world we live in, and to be true to your own self and identity is quite hard. But I think with Porsche 911s, you know, it is the classic and the ultimate, and you aspire to it. But I think recently it's been opened up to, you know, you don't need a totally new 911. I think with the 996 in particular recently, you know, coming back into vogue, it's opened a lot of doors for people to get back on the 911 train.
Definitely.
Without a doubt. And 997s, as we're seeing, you know, more and more now. I think that the difference really between a 996 and a 997, it's so minuscule. Again, it basically comes down to, well, do you like, or can you hack the fried egg headlights or not? And, you know, what sort of interior do you want? That's kind of it, isn't it? You know, they are very similar money, really.
Yeah. I must admit, I do love. Did you used to own like a grey C4S, Lee?
I did, yeah. So it was seal grey, which I think Meteor, which is quite a rare colour. I think that was like the replacement for seal grey.
Yeah, that was a beautiful car. Yeah.
You know, so I think, judging by Andy's like frantic.
Was that? It's time. It's 9 o'clock. We got a break for just a moment.
Absolutely.
I've invited Lee and Joe. I think on Instagram Live.
Are you stopping recording, Andy, or keep?
No. We'll carry on recording because if it sounds any good, we'll use it in the podcast. Hello, everybody on Instagram. We've got a few viewers, a few wafers. Right then, are we ready to make the draw?
You got your hat ready, Andy?
I've got the dirtbag hat. Are we ready? Here we go. This is the one. Michael Heritage, one of our Patreon members.
We said it's always,
well done, Michael.
Always good for patrons, isn't it?
Fix.
Yeah. Fix. Well done, Michael.
Collie, well done, fellas. That was happy days.
Bit of life carnage.
That's all good. Cheers for bearing with us, Craig, on that, to be honest with you.
No problem. Yeah. No, it's great to see everyone get involved.
Yeah. It's exactly that technique of blagging it that's kind of got us to this point on the podcast.
I think, that's the beauty of podcasts, having listened to a few of them. You can just spiel and be more honest, and it doesn't matter if it goes wrong, sort of thing.
Absolutely.
100%. So we were talking about grey Porsches, weren't we? And your Meteor Grey 987 Gen 1, which was a quality spec by the sound of it. What was the mileage?
It was sort of mid-20s. So.
Oh wow! Okay, yeah, super.
Yeah, it was a Minter. I'm definitely missing that. Had lobster claws on it.
If you're going to go shopping again, what do you think might be on the wish list? Are you thinking 996, 997? Are you in that camp?
My eyes have been open to 996s, but I think my heart lies with a 997. Probably keep it manual. Carrera S, pretty straightforward. But I'd like to go a bit more crazy in the colours. Everyone sort of has a grey or black or a silver. I'm pretty big fan of like Chris Harris's Speed Yellow or a bit more funky colours. Obviously a bit harder to find, but
it is, isn't it? I mean, obviously you and I will know from our kind of previous cars, as we were just kind of alluding to, but that whole era, it's just full of greys and silvers and blacks, whether it's basalt black or kind of jet black, or do you know what I mean? There's a lot of those kind of monotonous colours. Really, they're quite.
I'll tell you what looks amazing is obviously Chuck's been on the pod before. He's got a 997 C4S in Guards Red, and I mean even now that just looks. I think it looks $1 million. Yeah, I think it's in red it just pops, doesn't it? It looks great.
Yeah, I'm particularly a big fan of the old 996 C4S, mainly through drawing a few. I've been having really, really major feedback on the C4S, particularly the rear drawings.
I was going to say, I bet the rear would be in on that. I am of the opinion that is one of the best looking rears of any 911 generation ever. I'll fight anybody over that. But it's kind of. It's a 996, and I think that's a lot of people are kind of almost like they don't want to say it because it's a 996, but I think that the styling of that I think looks absolutely awesome. So I'm not surprised you've been asked to draw that quite a lot.
Yeah, definitely. That rear light bar is just so on trend. But obviously they've been holding it for years. Recently did some work with 996 Road Trip. Do you know?
Okay, I know of him. Yeah, and he's in
with the tent on the roof.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, and he's smoked out the top part of his rear lights, so you just see the rear bar. I think he's moved his indicators lower down to make it legal, but that looks nuts, definitely.
Looks like a 993.
It does, yeah. It's aspiring to the 993, which is the best.
Well, that's
car ever.
You're massaging Andy's ego quite nicely there. But, that rear light bar, it's like as you rightly said, Craig. It's been around since 1974 when the G series was introduced, and has by and large stayed right the way up to now. In modern times, like water cooled generation, it denoted the 4-wheel drive cars, didn't it?
Yeah.
Now that light bar is on every single 992. I even saw some first pictures of the new GT3 Cup car for 2021 Super Cup season. Again, features that full light bar. That is one of the most iconic elements of that 911 design, isn't it?
Definitely. Really cool.
I was driving in the dark the other night, just on a bit of dual carriageway, and there was a car up in front, and it had the light bar running all the way across, and it was like, that looks epic. What is that? And I was like, is that a Taycan? It was actually one of the new 992s, and it was white with a black roof, and it just looked bloody epic. Absolutely amazing with that white light bar. And I've really sort of fallen for the 992 now. When the 992 came out, I was like, what the hell is the arse on that?
So just to clarify, you've fallen for the 992 because you've seen it in the dark.
Yeah. Okay, that sounds good. But it did look epic on the road, I must say. Like, especially as it was a very clean one and everything else was covered in salt, and it just looked amazing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Craig, are there any other kind of design hallmarks of the 911 or any other car from Porsche's model lineup and any generation that like particularly like inspires you or resonates with you?
Well, I think obviously the 917 Le Mans car, you know, that's the classic race car there, you know, such a iconic shape. That's pretty high up there. But yeah, huge fan of the 959. I know you've recently had your friend who's had one of those. Such an amazing car, you know, it's like, look into the future, here it is. This is Porsche. Still looks amazing today. And the same goes obviously with the Carrera GC. But I'd say, I think one car that stayed with me recently has been the Sport Classic, the 997.
Oh, yes. Yeah.
Yeah, lovely.
I think it just looks just amazing, you know, totally perfectly balanced and such a good blend of all the styles over the years. Really cool having the little stripes going inside and over the roof and such.
I tell you what, from factory or otherwise, it's one of the few kind of cars I think that really seamlessly melds that modern 911 look with some of the design traits of the past. You know, a lot of people kind of maybe might try it from home, doesn't quite work. Or again, I mean, even Porsche with, as we've discussed on this pod previously, the Targa Heritage Design Edition, I can't remember what it's called now, but, you know, some of the throwbacks on there design-wise are a little bit kind of dubious and that, but that Sport Classic is absolutely exquisite, you know, to my mind. Anyway, obviously it's all subjective.
I think Sport Classic pulls off a lot of those really well, even like modern Fuchs, and it looks right on that for some reason.
Without a doubt.
Do you think they had an eye on like the resto mod scene? Obviously, it's a little bit older car now, but it sort of blends in with the whole Singer ethos and all that sort of thing.
Possibly. I mean, it was just before, you know, particularly like the Singer backdate stuff kicked off. But I mean, just even little things, you know, the Fuchs and the ducktail is the kind of the big thing that the Sport Classic's known for. But even on the headlight surrounds where they're all black, and that like invokes, if you look back, the 964 C4 lightweight is particular kind of standout thing for me. And it's just like, oh, you know, sometimes you try things like that and it doesn't quite work. I don't know why on that car. It just, for me, it just seems to work and resonate, you know?
Yeah. I'd love to see inside your head a bit more, Lee. You're such, well, all of you in particular, you've got such a mine of information. You know, I thought I was a Porsche fan, but you guys certainly know your onions as such.
It's very kind. I'm not sure my wife would agree with that sentiment, but feel sorry for her. But yeah, no, it's
What I'd like to do in the future, you know, is if you could sort of brief me on your perfect Porsche drawing, you know, from something that inspires you, you know, I'll try and make it happen for you, definitely.
Oh, that's a good shout.
We should design our perfect Porsche, shouldn't we? And then see if you can sketch them out for us. That could be quite good fun.
Yeah.
Yeah, interesting. Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, model, spec, mods, wheels, the whole shebang, and bring it to reality. That could be quite good.
Absolutely.
What about from a design point, from the designs you've already done, Craig, and the drawings you've done? What would be your sort of top three that you look back on? Yeah, because you've done loads of them over the last few months. What's your top three where you're like, those three are the ones that really, you've been really, whether it's either proud of or you've loved or whatever it is, that almost the ones that you'd put up on your wall if you had to pick some.
Yeah, well, I sort of looked at my phone lock screen for that. At the moment, I've got the little cartoon of the STR2 that I did, the rear view.
Yeah.
I still really like that. That's really cool. I recently liked the little drawing I did of the 992 GT3.
Yeah, that was good.
Just sort of exploring some classic colours on that. That was quite fun to do that. I think one of my popular ones has been the Brumos rear shot, the 59er.
Yeah, that's a good shot.
I think that worked quite well. So, yeah, definitely. Well, I recently liked the Safari as well. I did for Matt Farah. I think that turned out quite well as well.
Yeah.
You mentioned some kind of, if you like, well-established names in the industry there, Craig. So, like, has that led to a partnership with those guys, or a conversation, or is it just, again, you've just picked some cars that you absolutely love to draw?
I think a bit of green light and red light there. I mean, like I've said at the start, I've just thrown things out there, and sometimes it makes contact and sometimes it doesn't,
Yeah.
I remember the day when Magnus got back in touch with me with the drawings I did of his cars, and it was like, Magnus Walker's been in touch, Mr. God of Porsche, sort of thing. But yeah, I've definitely got some projects on the go. I can't mention all of them, but I recently made a trip to Auto Farm, and I'm doing a little project with those guys, and they're really cool.
Excellent.
I've already mentioned 906 Road Trip, and we've done a charity sticker. He's got a series of those.
Oh, amazing.
Maybe one or two of your other guests, I'm doing a bit of work with those guys as well, but that's sort of in the pipeline.
Sweet.
Not just drawings, there's things like accessories, apparel, prints, all that sort of thing. I don't really know how far to take it, because obviously I've got a full-time job, and I don't want it to influence that too much. But I'm sort of having fun, and that's sort of the main thing.
Excellent.
If I can make some people happy along the way, that's the main thing.
Nice. Talking of the day job, you told me before what it is, but I just wondered if you'd like to expand on that a little bit, so that people sort of know what your background is.
Yeah, I'm employed as a eyewear designer, so that's everything from optical to sunglasses to protective sunglasses to, we've recently done some PPE stuff for obviously this year.
Yeah, popular at the moment.
It's mainly based around optical and sunglasses, so I design the shapes that sit on your face and make you look cool or make you able to see a bit further.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I've seen a couple of sketches on your Instagram where you've done some helmets and things like that. So does it include helmets?
Yeah, I haven't recently done that many helmets, but in the past I've worked for Troy Designs and Fox, various other companies like that.
Yeah.
I think the helmet thing is a really cool thing, because it's not just the product itself, but it's applying graphics to it. I find that a really cool challenge, because you can enhance the profiles and the shapes and such. We talked about your sort of favourite colour Porsche, but I think my favourite colour graphic is Porsche. Is when you put graphics on it as such. I think that's why maybe Magnus has been quite popular, because he hasn't just stuck to one colour. He's played around with the art on a car as such, and it makes it more of an iconic image.
What do you think to the 993 art car that he did?
It's cool. Definitely, yeah. I think
mixed feedback on that one.
Yeah, I think there's still quite a lot of blue on it as such, but I definitely liked his approach, where he just got out at it in quite a physical, manual way. A lot of people are put off by, we haven't got all this technology. The guys do all this stuff on the computer. I think he's quite honest and quite hands-on. Give it a go and see what happens, sort of thing. Yeah, which is what a lot of people should do, really. You shouldn't have that barrier in front of you on graphics and design. Yeah, just give it a go, and if it makes you happy, just go for it. Yeah,
cool, good. Right, you have very kindly offered to help us do our next giveaways, sort of little Christmas presents to our listeners and Patreon people. So I think we should just sort of outline what you've said you'd do for us, which is very kind. So we're going to do a couple of things. For our Patreons, we're doing a desk calendar for the year with 12 of your sketches, one for each month, which you've very kindly donated to us for that. So I think that's going to be a pretty wicked desk calendar for our Patreon members. And you've also said that you'd do a custom sketch for one of our listeners as a prize giveaway. I hope you agree that that's all good.
No, absolutely not. No, that's all cool. I mean, thanks for your input, Andy. You've done some great work on getting the brief together for the calendar. I think we've got some headway on the designs now and putting that together, and I think it's looking pretty good.
Yeah, I've seen that you emailed me, but I haven't had time to actually look at the pictures as yet. But I'll look at those later. I'm sure that'd be fantastic.
I've had a little go at doing your logo.
Oh yeah, look at that. That looks better than the original.
Yeah, absolutely. Nice.
Not very good on the podcast here, but yeah, I've had a little sketch on your logo there.
Yeah.
So we could tag it up as a little Justice sketch, Road to Redline collaboration product.
Awesome.
That's really cool. I think we should put that as the Instagram picture for the duration of the competition, I think.
Yeah, that's awesome. Sure.
Yeah, as to the custom prize, I'm pretty much happy to go with whatever anyone wants, sort of thing.
Yeah.
I mean, I've been working with quite a few different people, and the way they play the brief is just go for it, see what happens. Or some people have got specific guidelines: as what angle, what color, what sort of light style.
Cool.
So we'll just see how it goes, really.
Yeah. So we'll work out how we're going to sort of do that giveaway, how we're going to work that, what your entry is going to be. So look out for on Instagram over the next week or so to start entering into that competition, so that Craig can sketch you up a masterpiece.
Yeah, definitely. It'd be good to get it done before Christmas, maybe, as a little gift.
Yeah, I think that'd be good. Yeah. Yeah, so we'll get that sorted. Definitely. Sounds good.
Yeah, that sounds awesome. If you, as a listener, aren't lucky enough on this occasion to win this awesome prize from Craig, I think it goes without saying, start by giving Craig a follow on Instagram. It's at Justice Sketch, isn't it?
That's right.
Yeah, at Justice Sketch. Take a look at some of the drawings on there. It's mind-blowing, some of that artwork, and it goes without saying, drop Craig a message if you're interested in getting something. I'm very lucky. I've got Little Irish in pride of place on the wall, which is all Craig's work there. So
sure have. I know you haven't just put that there as well.
yeah. Well, funnily enough, I don't know if you can see on Zoom, but the other side of this Nobody's Perfect poster, there's a gap. It's quite an ominous one. And, my dear wife Laura has been trying. Well, she's done a practice version. She's waiting for the full finish on the rear of the 996 C4S that I used to own, because when we sold it essentially was the deposit for this house that we now live in. So it was promised as a birthday present. That was back in February. So that gap's looking, I don't know. We might have to just hang a dartboard up there instead. Honestly, Craig, is so chuffed that you kind of chose us three to start the artwork with, really, and genuinely we were so blown away by it, and it's a genuinely privilege to have you on the pod.
It's funny how things happen like that sometimes. It just so happened that you started when I sort of started, and we haven't mentioned it yet, but you're very local to where I live as well, so it's keeping it local down south, Dorsetshire side, so it's all good.
The Dorset massive, just but before we go, I've got another question just regards to design. So when a client, be it whoever it is, and if it's automotive or it could be through the day job here, do you prefer kind of the freedom to express yourself creatively when it comes to your drawing, or do you prefer it when somebody gives you a brief and you work to that?
Nice.
So pros and cons to both, aren't there?
I have to be careful what I say here, but I think at the end of the day, it's what makes you happy. It's just doing what you want to do, sort of thing. I love pleasing people. So when you get a brief and you get feedback and change something, change it again, you're making that person happy. But I think doing it for your own sake makes you maybe a little bit more happier. I think it's a good balance to have sort of both. I've grown quite a thick skin over my design career. People always have an opinion or want to have a bit of input. We've seen it on a lot of products, particularly cars, where too many people get involved and you just end up with a grey, beige sort of bread product.
Blob. Yeah.
Whereas if you can keep it core to one person's ideas, it becomes a much more clearer, cleaner, stronger product, I think.
Awesome. Absolutely awesome. Well, Craig, like I say, genuinely, it's a privilege to have you on Road to Redline. Thank you for sharing your story.
10 questions.
Oh, amazing. Yes.
Don't forget, we haven't done these for a little while. We seem not either the the guest hasn't been the right person for it, or we've forgotten to do it. And I think tonight it's time to do it.
Excellent, great shout.
I've got them here if we're ready.
Yeah, far away. Yeah.
Air or water? First question.
Water.
Okay. Favorite Porsche model?
I'm going to go with the Sport Classic we mentioned already.
Lovely.
Favorite Porsche color?
Jade green.
Oh, yeah.
So
okay.
that's his historical name.
Yeah. Okay. Who is your ultimate Porsche icon?
Well, you probably know more than me. Whoever designed the Porsche script. I'm not sure who that would have been.
I don't know who designed the original Porsche script. The Carrera script, this is just as a quick anecdote, by the way, or quick bit of info for you. It was Cheryl Dimpson, Ben Dimpson's wife, that designed the Carrera and Turbo script from the 1980s. And again, that font has now come back on the rear of the 992, that 911 font. Was the work of Cheryl Dimpson, who worked at Style Porsche. But yeah, the Porsche script from the 60s, I don't know, I'm afraid.
Oh, something to find out. Okay, next question. Favorite track?
I'll go from my MotoGP history and go with Phillip Island
Nice.
in Australia.
Yeah, excellent. Yeah, eclectic.
To Fuchs or not to Fuchs? That is the question.
I'll go with Fuchs. Yeah, for a good start. Yeah.
Stock or hot rod?
Hot rod.
Narrow or wide body?
I'll go wide.
Cars and coffee or track day?
I think I don't drink coffee, but cars and coffee definitely for getting the family involved. Yeah.
Yeah.
Nice.
And last question, which is probably topical there as well, is back seats in a 911. Would you or wouldn't you?
Having two youngsters, I would. Yes.
I think we should bring back the old school question: is the Cayman a real Porsche?
Yeah. Should we add that in? Excellent.
Well, yes, definitely. Yeah.
It was a loaded question, but we'll take it.
Excellent. I think judging by those questions as well, it might offer a bit of an insight into what the 997 purchase might be looking like in a few months or years' time. There, Craig. I don't know.
Well, maybe fingers crossed. Yeah, we'll see how that pans out. I'm currently driving a transporter, so you couldn't get quite different.
Excellent.
Awesome.
Cool.
Yeah, like we said, Craig, absolute pleasure to have you on Road to Redline. So thank you very much for sharing your story with us. And also,
thank you.
Well, no, thank you for doing the competition as well and agreeing to do that, because it goes without saying, I'd love to win that. I'm sure anybody listening would, and there's going to be a lot of time and dedication and talent going into that. So Again, we really appreciate you doing that on behalf of Road to Redline.
Yeah.
Thank you for inviting me, letting me be part of your story. I'm not sure where I'm going with it, but hopefully we'll put some smiles on some faces.
Absolutely. I'm looking forward to my desk calendar on my desk.
Yeah.
That's going to be good. Really good.
I think we should definitely, maybe we'll have a look at our Instagram and repost your top three, if that's okay. And along with a few other pics of yours, if you're good with that. So people can see a bit of your work.
No worries, guys. No, thanks for the support as always.
Fab. Let's do that. Cheers, Craig.
Okay.
You take care.
And
awesome.
you.
What a humble bloke.
Indeed.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah. What
Top
a talented
guy.
bloke.
Yeah. If you haven't seen his illustrations yet, then definitely go onto his Instagram and Justice Sketch. It's got some amazing sketches there, all different styles. Do look out for the competition to win your own sketch from Craig, which I think is a pretty amazing prize.
Definitely. And that segues nicely into what is a new feature, hopefully, isn't it, Andy?
Oh, what, our voice message feature?
Yes.
Yeah. I enabled it a little while ago, but kept it quiet. But somebody found it. If you go onto our link in the bio on Instagram, there is a link there you can leave a voice message. And one of our listeners, Rob Verhul, I think that's pronounced correctly, has left us a little message, which I'll play now.
Hi, Andy, Joe, and Lee. My name's Rob. I'm a big fan, just listening to all your back catalogue at the moment. I'm a bit of a Porsche nut. I've never owned one, and I'd love to in the future. But one thing I was thinking of might be a good feature, or I'd really interested to hear from you, is which Porsches would you choose at different price points? So maybe 30k, 60k, and 90k. My criteria are that I'd love it to be a good experience. I'd like it to not depreciate too much, or at least maybe even increase in value. And I think that would be an interesting question, and a lot of different options come to mind. But having never even been in an 911, I'd love to get your reflections on that. Thank you.
Okay, did you get that?
Indeed.
Yeah, awesome. Absolutely awesome. What a really nice message. So thank you for leaving that. And also, what a cracking idea. We'd love to get some more of these through, wouldn't we, in future
Absolutely,
episodes?
yeah. Get your questions in, or praise, or
otherwise, to be honest.
Yeah.
Feedback's
what
great.
we're doing wrong.
Yeah. It's the only way we can kind of make it work for everybody is if we kind of get that feedback and then
Absolutely.
just choose to bin it off or or
delete,
actually do something with
delete.
it. Yeah, exactly. Yeah,
it's really easy to leave a message on there. It's just literally a case of hitting the link and speak away. So even easier than doing an email or a Instagram direct message. Or
It'd be good to
like
get some regular questions through, wouldn't it? Because I think and we can obviously maybe try and cover off a topic fairly regularly. That'd be quite cool.
Absolutely. So should we answer Rob's little question there? What should he go for? 30, 60, or 90k?
I reckon. Should we start on the start at the beginning of that and see what the opinions are on a 30k option?
It's a big question, isn't it?
I'll tell you what as well, looking at it, so we've got 30, 60, 90k, different values. Got to look after you financially in terms of buying price versus selling price. Obviously there's an intermediary cost of running a thing, which obviously people forget about in these scenarios, but being fun to drive as well. The good news is, particularly with Porsche, there's a lot of choice for all of them.
Isn't there?
There's not really a right or wrong answer. Yeah, that's it. Has anyone got anything that stands out?
Well, it gets you into not most things, but it gets you. You could get into something fairly classic for 30k. I think the danger of that is the bills that come with it. Most older 30k Porsches are going to need some money spending on them, I'd imagine, unless you can find something that's been done. So you probably reliability, fun factor, and enjoyment without having scary bills. You probably want to be going slightly more modern. So, 30k gets you top end of the 996 market, doesn't it?
It does. It does. The only thing I'd say to that is, and you'd look at things like C4Ss. People think that it's a really good investment. It is what I would. Investment's the wrong word there, by the way. A good purchase. In terms of it, possibly like looking after you. The trouble with the C4S is they made an awful lot of them. I think it's 23,000 globally. So it's about nailing the spec on that. But then, of course, as we know, more important with 996 and 997, more important than spec is condition. So, that's the most important thing. But you are right, Joe. For that, you might even get a really cheap 996 turbo. But I mean, there's no such thing as a cheap turbo, is there?
No. There's no such thing as a cheap 911.
Yeah,
I think a 30k turbo would be fun while it worked. I think it would crucify you on the bills. So I probably wouldn't go down that road because I think your experience could be pretty horrible if it goes wrong.
Without a doubt, to be honest with you.
997. What sort of 997 would you go for? 30k would get you into again a really clean sort of
.2
S, wouldn't it? Get you into Gen 2.
Possibly it would stretch to an early Gen 2. Yeah, I think there's a hell of a lot of value in Gen 1. People like the S. Yeah. Over the Bogo Carrera. I would say don't rule out that entry-level Carrera. I think that is a cracking car. I think it's really underrated in the market. And actually, there's a lot of independent specialists that won't sell the S. That's with the 3.8 litre engine.
What, because of bore scoring and that?
Because of bore scoring, the 3.6 tends to be a little bit safer. So if those sort of things keep you up at night, then we'll, for the sake of 30 horsepower and a few extras thrown in, it might be worth looking at the Carrera. Awesome cars out of the box. So I think for 30k you could get yourself a really tidy 997.
I reckon 997 is probably the way to go if you're sort of fairly new entry into Porsche, because you get that much more of a modern cabin and car and all the bits that go with it. It's an easy thing to kind of deal with. You're not getting any of the historic issues or that sort of stuff, are you?
No.
Yeah, the only thing I will say to that, and there'll be kind of people shouting at the speaker or however they're listening to this, saying, "Well, you would say this," but don't think the 997 because it's newer that it doesn't have the same corrosion issues as a 996. It does, and some specialists have told me it's actually worse. And the other thing is the 997 was the first generation to adopt what we now kind of consider to be like modern tech, for example, PASM and things like that. And these technologies are great, but when they go wrong, there's a problem. So I think, again, as we said earlier on when we were chatting to Craig, it kind of comes down to what's your personal choice. 30k could get you a really nice 997 Gen 1, or equally it could get you a nice 996. It just comes down to what you feel is the better car for you, isn't it?
Yeah. Right.
So just to throw something else in the mix, 30 grand would get you into like a 981 Cayman.
Okay, yeah.
I mean, that's a really, if you don't need the 4 seats and you want to go that much newer again, you're in that sort of 991 type generation of interior and finish and spec and technology, but obviously in a Cayman format or a box.
Yeah, and it has to be said as well, adding to that, the 981, fantastic sound, because we know the Cayman and Boxster has gone back to 6-pot engines for the GTS, but that 981 I think is a real sweet spot for those cars in terms of sound, isn't it? Beautiful soundtrack.
Definitely. And they're really sought after because of that. And I think that 2-litre turbo kind of killed off a lot of those. So people are hanging on to them, and they're not going to be collectible by any stretch, but they are more sought after. There's a more solid market for those.
Yeah, definitely. 60k, I'm going to dive in with that. And I'm going to say, if you can find one, 964, it's a conversation that Joe and I were having a chat about recently away from the pod, but they are out there. And we're talking about coupe.
Oh, yeah. I've seen a couple of fairly decent cars, coupes at the 50k mark.
Wow. Okay, fine. Well, as Joe and I were kind of discussing, in 3 years' time, say if you bought one tomorrow, as a fact, there are going to be less 964s on the planet, because some will be written off, and also some will be turned into reimaginings by the likes of Singer Vehicle Design and others that try and imitate that sort of look. So that will only get rarer, and I think therefore that will be kind of reflected in price. And again, as we were saying, in the meantime, that's given you a fantastic blend of a classic 911 that's not kind of too old. You could still use that fairly regular,
think what I'd probably try and do maybe is if you had a 60k budget, maybe look to spend 45, 50 and go and spend that extra 10 or 15 grand on it. So you've got it so completely well sorted that you've got a really, really good car. Do you know what I mean? Where everything's just done. So all the question marks, have everything gone through that might have aged on it. Get all the bushes done, get the suspension renewed, get the engine checked through. Have all the bits done, and I think you'd look at it as a good solid investment that way.
I would add caution there that I'd say there's a lot of difference between one 964 and another 964. In that you could quite easily get yourself into a load of old shite that needs 20k's, 30k's worth of work on it. Or you could get into something that's really quite well, being maintained well, and is not going to cause you too much grief. So I'd say be careful when you hit that mark.
You want service history, don't you? You want over every. I think rather than mileage, it's how well has it been looked after? Has someone had an open checkbook with this car and just done whatever needed doing when it needed doing, or if they run it on a shoestring? That's the biggest question mark on anything older, I think. Yeah,
fully agreed.
More modern stuff, I think. 60k. My finger's not exactly on the pulse, but I think you'd probably get into 997 GT3 for that sort of money. What do you reckon it's a bit like?
Well, the GT3 market is a funny one, really, because it's kind of split in two between the low mileage collector cars and then the higher mileage usable cars. Definitely not Gen 2, but Gen 1, yeah, you could definitely pick one up for. In a similar vein, I was going to throw the 997 GTS into the ring. Really good usable car, arguably more usable than a GT3 for road driving, of course. They have never really taken a knock in price. I think they were late 50s when new in 2010, which for, with a car with Carrera on its backside is outstanding, and they've only kind of come down a little bit because naturally the 991 Gen 1 GTSs have come down because of 991 Gen 2 and whatnot.
Are they
a little bit on from that, But whilst they are, and that is a fantastic car, don't get me wrong, but with a 997, if you can find a manual, because a lot of them were PDK, a hell of a lot of them, you've got a really, really nice 6-speed there, a beautiful soundtrack. And again, I think the 997, a bit like the Turbo S 997, it felt like a run-out special rather than just an upgrade in spec.
Yeah.
And that's not to do disservice to those cars that followed, but I just think that's a really, really nice car. Really well thought of by enthusiasts alike. So again, drive that 5 years' time. I can't see you losing a lot of money on them, to be honest. Yeah.
I'll tell you what's a really good shout. Again, I'm going to throw. I know I'm flying the Cayman flag again, but you'd get
bloody hell.
I know. 60k, so definitely early 60s would get you into a GT4.
981,
981 GT4, which is a limited numbers car.
No, it's not limited, is it?
There's not thousands and thousands of them, is there?
Oh, you cannot, especially not too long ago on Auto Trader, you couldn't move for low mileage Cayman GT4s in paint to sample, whatever. Everyone was going to retire off to the Bahamas on their flipping or flipping their.
Yeah, but that's all moved on now. So all those 80 grand cars have they've settled back down to 60 something. And at their peak there was probably 40 for sale. Yeah, it's not like going for a bog standard Carrera where you probably got the pick of 200.
Yeah, that's true. It's a lot of car for the money as well.
You get a proper GT badge for 60k in something that's that much more modern. And it won, was it sports car of the year 2016, whatever it was, Auto Cars thing. It did it. Yeah, it's a proper car for that sort of money.
Yeah, agreed. It's a hell of a lot of car for 60k. And as I say, it wasn't too long ago, was it, when there was a load of those cars for sale for 100k plus? Not a long time ago. So that is, it's the same car, isn't it, now? And it's
if you spec a 718 GT4, you're into 110, 115 grand. That is not. You don't get double the car for double the money.
Yeah.
Yeah, and that's. It was one of the. One of the more seasoned Porsche techs said, they wouldn't touch a 718 over the 981. They'd go 981 all day long, no particulate filters. They just said, that is a much better car to go for, in their opinion. Bit controversial.
90k then.
No, yes, that's a great shout.
90k.
See, 90k, you've got so many options. I reckon for 90k, personally, me, I would go 991 Targa GTS. Yeah, that's my soft spot.
I would go Spider, 4-litre Spider. Can you get a 4-litre Spider?
That? Oh yeah.
That's where I'd be.
Well, 60k get you a 981 Spider, and 90k get you a 718 Spider.
No, I want the new 4-litre. I think that's an epic looking car.
What else would 90k get you? 90k.
I'll tell you,
991 GT3.
Well, really, what, 90k?
Yeah, there's one for sale at the moment for 80k.
Yeah, okay.
Which is a nice, decent spec, got lift on it, all the bits you'd want.
Yeah, that's not too bad. Again, like staying on the modern stuff, I think how fun to drive or engaging to drive is kind of debatable. But the 991 Gen 1 Turbo S is, sitting around
mega amount of car.
It's around about 80k. It's 560 horsepower. It's 700 newton meters of torque. That is it. That would still embarrass a lot of modern day supercars rolling out of showrooms right now, and it is.
But you don't need it. You don't need it, and it's not going to look after you.
Well, this is you say that, Andy, but where can prices of that really go? The only thing I will say is I know some specialists that do find 911 turbos a little bit harder to shift at the moment.
I think if you go for an S, I think that's a much smaller market, and I think if you went turbo S, then I think that will look after you a lot better than just a straight turbo.
Agreed. Yeah, and they've again with that, just the values and where it is in relation to everything else in the market. It's taken such a huge hit. I think they were 152k new in 2014. Wow. So in 6 years, they're because you'll have options on top of that as well. That's very nearly half price. Where that car, it can't go too much lower than that. Okay. For now. Do you know what I mean? And again, you're right, Andy. It's like you don't need all of it, but if you want it, it's there. And if you want a McLaren to do everything that car can do, it's going to cost you a lot more. So as an example, admittedly a poor one, but but again, it doesn't quite fit in with the question really, because it's not amazingly engaging to drive. And
my bid, I've just pulled up the old Auto Trade and having a flick through, and actually, between 80 and 90 grand, you've got the pick of quite a lot of 991 Gen 1 GT3s. I'm looking at a 10,000 mile car, 86 grand. I mean, what a mega car for the money.
And I tell you what as well, I think we might mention this before, but those engines are protected by a 10-year Porsche warranty.
That's big bonus, that is, isn't it?
Huge, as we said, from a highly stressed race engine, essentially, that's in a road car. I mean, there's no other manufacturer daring to do that sort of thing. To have that
some sort of warranty
in the back pocket is pretty special,
Mm. If you're going to turn the clock back, say you're going to spend circa 90k on what might be considered more of a classic, garage queen come, weekend Sunday driver, what would you dip into for 90k?
That's a really good question, because as we said earlier on in the pod, with the air-cooled stuff, it's a wide open market. For example, you could pick up a mint and low mileage, should I say, low mileage 3.2 Carrera for probably that sort of money.
I know what I'd go for. Do you remember that sports purpose orange turbo? That was 90-ish K. Do you remember that? Brown interior, orange, sort of late 70s, early 80s.
Okay, so it's a gorgeous 3.3 4-speed. Tell you what, that a 911, old school 930 turbo. I think they're a hoot to drive. I think they're the best turbos, personally. I really, really do. It's just a shame that the 3 litres aren't that cheap.
That's where my 90k would go. Okay. Right. Well, I hope we've answered Rob's question to some sort of degree. It's a difficult question, loaded. Huge amount of answers to that one.
It'd be nice to know what listeners think to that as well, by the way, like what their choices would be.
Absolutely. And if you've got any questions to pose to us, then go onto that link on the bio on Instagram and look out for the voice message. You've got 90 seconds to give us your question.
Perfect.
Cool. Right. Other news this week. We've got a load more Patreons.
What happened there? Everyone joined at once.
Well, I think they all wanted to win some tyres. So shall I rattle through who we've got?
Let's do it.
It's like an international call as well. We've got Greg Spark, who has sponsored us a coffee each month. He is all the way in New Zealand, the other side of the world.
Epic.
Yeah. So
I'd love to know a bit more about the New Zealand Porsche scene. Like, is there one to start with, and what's it like, and what's on trend over there? It's kind of literally the other side of the world for us, isn't it?
Yeah, if Greg could reach out to us with that would be really cool. Right, next one is James Clark. He's in the UK, drives a Cayenne, and sponsored us a beer. Thank you, James.
Tops. Cheers,
Very
James.
Kind.
He uses that all over the place. I believe he works on wind farms, so it goes all over the country, up Scotland, used a lot of 4-wheel drive. So yeah, interesting.
Actually, remind me after we've gone through these, just to touch on something Cayenne related. It was there's a little message that came in. I think we'll do it at the end of this. So let's rattle through these first.
Yeah, cool. Next one is James Wallace. Again, UK, sponsored us a beer, and he's got a 996. Michael Heritage, who is our winner of our tyres competition.
Amazing.
Only a patron this week. Yeah, congratulations. He sponsored us a beer. It's earned you well already.
Be interesting to see what tyres he picks and what they go on.
Yeah, I'm not sure what car he's got actually. So yeah, be interested to hear back from Michael. Has he got a 996 turbo? Maybe. Next patron is Paul and Debs Lowen. I don't think Deb's name is actually Lowen, but I'll give her the Lowen name for now. Obviously, Paul was on the podcast a few weeks ago. He sponsored us a beer, and obviously in the UK. A local guy, Anthony Sandach. He owns a 991 GTS, yellow headlights.
Oh, nice. We bumped into that one day on a Sunday West Bay run, didn't we? Yeah. Really lovely cool guy. Car, that. Really cool car. Yeah,
that car's amazing, actually. He did say at one point he was toying with the GT3 and it might have been up for sale. And that is a car, I said, I genuinely meant that. Yeah, if that car does come up for sale, let me know, because that is a stunning car. The spec on that car is, he's got buckets, he's got Burmester, it's manual. I mean, it's a properly lovely loaded car, that.
Yeah, good colour as well, isn't it? Sort of that
really unusual.
Blue.
Nice.
Yeah. And lastly, a little update. One of our existing patrons, Doug, he's very kindly upped his subs from a coffee to £4. So thank you, Doug.
Amazing. Absolutely. See, Joe, look, you'll be back in Barbados before you know it, mate. Go on, then. You've got a little nugget about Cayennes.
Yeah, not so much a nugget. We had someone did reach out, via the Insta, and just asked. We never actually touch on much of the other Porsche product, and why is that? And I thought, well, actually, it's an interesting question.
Yeah.
My thoughts on that were it's just we don't particularly have much interaction with the product. None of us, drive a Cayenne or a Macan or any of that sort of stuff, and we just, it doesn't really cross our path very much. So I was wondering whether we should, as a little collective, maybe try and see what we can get our legs into, and just, it might make for a bit of a dry pod, but I think, let's just see what our opinions are on some 4x4s. Because interestingly, out of the three of us, at least two of us, our other halves run a 4x4 of some sort, neither of which have got a Porsche badge on, interestingly enough.
We were very close to getting a Macan GTS when Sarah bought her last car. But it was just above budget. Wish we'd done it, stretched it.
Well, as you know, obviously I tried to buy a Macan for my other half and I had to give it back because I didn't like it. So that's an embarrassing story.
Oh.
That's a cracker, to be fair. That's a cracker.
We can save that story for when we talk 4x4s. But I was thinking between us, I've got a friend that's got a Cayenne GTS, which is, I think, a 2015, 2016 car. I think Carl at the moment is peddling around a pretty new. What's the Cayenne with the sportback boot thing on it?
Oh, Gran Turismo.
Yeah, coupe.
The coupe. Sorry, the Cayenne coupe. So I think he's bumping around.
Okay, sorry,
in a new one of those at the moment. I'm sure there's between us. We probably know a few people. Another friend of mine I know has got a Macan GTS quite recently. So we could do a little round robin for the day, jump in and out of some Porsche 4x4 stuff, and maybe just
learn.
Pass a few comments and just be a bit more inclusive in terms of our Porsche product, maybe.
Absolutely, sounds good.
Right, very good shot. Very good.
So coming soon.
Cool. Great. Cool. Anything else to go through?
I feel like that's everything on the agenda, isn't it? I think it's worth saying to listeners, if we haven't done so already, that after this episode, we've got two more, haven't we, for Series 2. That brings us nicely up to Christmas. We will then have a break, and then Series 3 is going to start promptly early in the new year. And we are going to begin with a genuine world exclusive.
Ooh.
Yeah.
It's
going to be absolutely huge. So expect to hear from us again, unfortunately, first week in Jan, because we've got the lowdown on something that's absolutely huge, going to resonate far and wide in the automotive circles, and we're going to have it all first. So
Boom.
Yeah.
Good. So what else? Patreon. Go see the link.
If you haven't signed up yet, why not? Go do it.
get a nice desk calendar at least, and some other stuff if we can get some other stuff.
We're still totting up this month's subs, aren't we? So between now and the end of December, whatever comes in Patreon-wise is going to Renee and her amazing cause. So it's a win-win on that if you join up with Patreon.
Yeah, worth having and listening to episode 17 for the full story on that if you haven't already, because it's an awesome cause.
Amazing. Yeah. And obviously Patreon members are going to be getting the 12-month Craig's calendar.
Yeah.
So don't forget that too.
Excellent.
There's going to be a cut-off for that, isn't there, Andy, for people to sign up to Patreon in order to be eligible for the calendar?
I think we should do about a week from today. So let's do a week from today.
Okay, what is today and what is a week from today?
So let's say we put this out on Thursday like we normally do.
Okay, yeah.
So you'll have a week until next Thursday.
So that is Thursday the 17th of December.
That's correct.
Cool. Awesome.
Excellent.
Nice one, chaps. Look forward to seeing you soon.
Excellent. Cheers.
Good to see you. Cheers now. Bye.